So first of all, let me welcome all of you to this presentation. It's really great to see so many. So it is really for the ICT-19 project proposers, and it's a pleasure engaging with you. So I mean, VINNI in itself as an ICT-17 project is really here to work with you going forward, and also to serve you. So that's also the ambition of this call, to explain what we will provide, what type of service we will provide, and also what type of capabilities. Then we will also, as Tassos explained, talk a bit about how we plan to interact with you, and also give some expectations towards what we expect from you. And I think that's also very important for what you should put into your proposals. The second thing is also that we are really interested in getting the questions from you to understand what you need, maybe also as input into how we can improve and better serve you. So that's also what we hope to get out of this webinar. And it's important that you ask questions so it can improve your proposal building and make them as successful as possible. So first of all, I mean, VINNI is short for 5G Verticals Innovation Infrastructure, and that is kind of signing what we are here to do. To actually make an infrastructure available for ICT-19 and other vertical projects. So the objectives as stated here for VINNI and also for ICT-17 project is to build an open large-scale 5G end-to-end facility with two main goals. One of them is to demonstrate that we can meet the 5G network KPIs, and the second one is to make it available and accessible by vertical industry use cases, and especially then from ICT-19 projects, so that you can run your use cases and also validate the 5G KPIs. So the duration of the project is 3 years. It started in 1st of July 2018 and will end 1st of July 2021. But as we all know, ICT-19 projects might run longer. I don't have the details of the duration planned by all ICT-19 projects, but in the case that ICT-19 run until, say, 1st of July 2022, we have committed to make the platform available until then. But the funding after 1st of July 2021 is not on VINNI projects, because we don't have that funding. That needs to come from an ICT-19 or several ICT-19 projects to be able to run your use cases. So a bit about the consortium. We are 23 partners. You can see all the partners on the bottom here. So we have 4 operators. It's Telenor, which I'm representing, being the coordinator of this project. Then we have Telefonica in Spain, BT in UK, and also SES in Luxembourg as a satellite operator. So all these operators will have facility sites. Then we also have vendors on the infrastructure part. It's Samsung, Nokia, Ericsson, Huawei, SRS, Live Micro, and also Intracom. And for the 5G mobile core and 5G radios, it's Samsung, Ericsson, and Huawei delivering in the main facility sites. And also we have SRS and Live Micro systems for some of the experimentation facility sites. I will come more back to what I mean by that. Then Nokia is delivering virtualization platform, basically NFV and SDN, and also orchestration systems. Cisco is on something we call an open distributed data fabric service for gathering data like from IoT type devices. I will explain more about this later as well. Then on the testing side, Keysight and Niantic and also Stimula are taking key responsibility onto that. Altis Labs also in the OSS space, network slicing, and also transport systems. We have engineering from Italy, working on more on how should we expose the 5G VINNI infrastructure towards verticals like ICT-19 projects, and also working on the business layer. Then we also have universities in the Athens University of Economics and Business, working a lot around how on the business model and ecosystem around 5G VINNI and how to evolve that, which is also important for supporting ICT-19 projects. University of Patras, also having a facility site UC3M, working with Telefonica, especially in 5-tonic setup, which is part of it's where they build their infrastructure. Then we have Fraunhofer, focusing a lot around the 5G core and contributing that into the project, and Euroscom on administrative tasks in the project. So what you can see is that we don't have any vertical industry partners in the project, and that is on purpose, because we have built this consortium to deliver on the objective as stated above, but we do have an external stakeholder board with many vertical industries, like represented in the figure you see on the right. Everything from factories, automotive, from the shipping industry, from the logistics industry, the military, virtual reality, and so forth, to actually get input on the requirements that we need in order to build the 5G VINNI infrastructure, and also to do initial validation before we launch the platform for ICT 19 projects. So here you see the key objectives of 5G VINNI, and the first is of course to build an advanced and design an advanced and accessible 5G end-to-end facility for you. And we are leveraging results from phase 1 and phase 2 projects. We are using input and working with standardization like 3GPP, ETSI, TM Forum, and so forth, and also with open source projects such as open source Mano and also Open Daylight and so forth. We will also innovate in areas where we see the need and have the capability. So can you please mute if you don't? Can all please mute? Thanks. The second point is on objective is on building several interworking sites. So we will have several facility sites, but we will also make them interworking. That's a very important capability of 5G VINNI, so that you can actually put up end-to-end network slices crossing different facility sites across different countries. For instance, if you have a B2B customer in one country and another one in another country, and you want to interconnect them, as an example. The point 3 is on providing a user-friendly zero-touch orchestration, operations and management system, and that is also very important. I mean, automation is fundamental to 5G, both to automate the internal operation of the facility, also so that we automate provisioning of the services. And that is very important also to ICT 19 and other vertical industry customers, so that you can get a zero-touch experience when you want to test and run use cases on the facilities. Point 4 is on validation of the 5G KPIs, where we will build a test framework with support for executing KPI testing and use case testing. And this is definitely also responding back to the objectives that were put out. And this is also a very important capability for you to use. And I will ask you to make note of this, that this is actually something we provide, and that you should consider also in your proposal making. Number 5 is on the business and ecosystem models, which we need to build in order to support the life of 5G VINNI facilities during and beyond the span of the project. So we also emphasize a lot on this in the project. Please mute if you don't speak. Please mute. Number 6 is on the fact that we will also feed the results and work with standardization bodies and also open source communities to make the results available and implemented and relevant for the standardization organs, and also present the work we do at venues across the globe. So what you see here is the 5G VINNI facility sites. And what we have done is that we have separated them into what we call the main facility sites and also the experimentation facility sites. So the difference is mainly that in the main facility sites, we will offer well-defined service level agreements with stability, performance, and so forth. So we have 4 of those sites, one in Norway, operated by Telenor, one in UK, operated by BT, one in Spain operated by Telefonica, and one in Greece operated by Patras. Then we have what we call experimentation facility sites, which is are environments where you can have more experimental features. So the same level of stability should not be expected as in the main facility sites. So I'm not saying that it will not be running. It will be made available and can be available also for ICT19 projects, but it's not the same promise when it comes to service level agreements, to say it like that. So we have 4 of them. 3 of them are the 5G kind of LAN facility sites. One in Portugal by in Aveiro, one in Germany in Berlin, and the third also in Germany in Munich. Then the 4th experimentation facility site is what we call a moving one, which is it's a van connected by satellite, providing 5G outside, and also looking into providing MEC capabilities in the van. So you can also see that there are interconnections between the sites, and we promise interconnection into working between the main facility sites as a service. So then, having looked a bit on the geographical distribution of the facility sites and also the difference between SLA promise, we then look a bit into the capabilities in the facility sites. So in this list, you can see a set of capabilities. Some of them are quite obvious, something we need for 5G. Some are more new things. And some of them are provided only in the main facility sites, and some in both the main and experimentation facility sites. So for instance, 5G new radio is provided across all the sites, where we do support new radio in different bands, like in the 3.5 and 26 gigahertz band in most of the sites, but also in most of the main sites, but also in other bands. More details on that when we explain or present each of the facility sites. We're also looking into 700 megahertz, but it's a bit challenging to get access to the 700 megahertz band at this point in time, but that's something we will consider throughout the project. And there is some difference when it comes to the radio equipment. At some sites we have more near commercial grade equipment, whereas on other sites we have more experimentation equipment and solutions. Same for 5G core across all the sites. Different solutions also across the sites. Then we have NFV infrastructure and orchestration, which is a very important thing for 5G, which is also provided across all the sites. The same for multi-access edge computing will also be provided across the sites. The number of MEC sites and the flavor of the MEC sites will differ. Network slicing is of course also important for 5G and will be provided across all the sites. Then there are some capabilities which are promised in the main facility sites, and that is end-to-end service orchestration, to do orchestration of network slices end-to-end, implement the network slice templates, and enabling delivery of different slices. Then we also have what I talked about previously, is the interworking and interconnection among the main facility sites, so that we can have slices crossing different sites. Then we also have a testing framework, which is a set of tools made available for you to implement your use case testing and KPI testing, or run your KPI testing and use case testing. So we'll make available a set of templates that can be used, and we can also do customization of test cases. And finally, we also have what we call a distributed data fabric service, which is that you take the applications, gathering data, filtering data, and analyzing data throughout the infrastructure, such as gathering data from IoT type of devices, which is a very powerful capability. So on this side, you see a quite high-level view of the capabilities. There are more details also, especially when it comes to the experimentation facility sites, where advanced capabilities not specified in this table are made available. So please look at the description of the facility sites for more information on that. Then that was the capability. So now we move into what type of services do we offer to ICT19 projects. And here we focus on the main facility sites. So the first thing that we will make available is a slice that is running where customers and ICT19 projects can come with a device and plug it in. One for enhanced mobile broadband and one for massive machine tab communications. So this is kind of a slice for a mobile network for these type of slices. Then the three next rows are network slice as a service for the different slice types as standardized by 3GPP. Slice for enhanced mobile broadband, ultra reliable low latency communications, and massive machine tab communication. So basically we implement templates and we make it possible for ICT19 projects to come in and spin up or create their slices. So you can put in your parameters that are needed in the templates and get it up running. Where we have the underlying mobile core network, radio network that is needed. Then we also have what we call a customized network slice. And this is in the case that any ICT19 project needs something different than the three above. So we might imagine things like mixing up the different slice, the slice types, or other things. That's something we need to work on together. We have not implemented this or put this in as part of the budget in 5G VINNI, but that's something we can discuss. That might be, we might need budgeting for, depending on the level of work needed. Then we also have the possibility and service for you to host your own VNF as part of a slice. I guess that might be needed by many of you. We also have the possibility, as I talked about, the distributed data fabric service that you can order as part of a slice. And then we have the possibility for you to integrate a non-5G VINNI G-Node B, a base station, to the 5G VINNI facility. And the same as in the next row for a MEC node, edge computing node. And we have seen this demand from some ICT19 projects, and that is in the case where we do not have coverage and you need coverage in that area. So that integration, actually, we have not budgeted that into the project, and that is also something you need to take into account in your proposals. Then we also have the possibility to interwork with non-5G VINNI facility sites. So as just said in the previous slide, that we are interworking between the main facility sites, but you can also imagine cases where you need interworking between a 5G VINNI facility site and maybe a facility site in, say, the other ICT17 project, 5G Eve or 5G Genesis. So we are open to that, but discussions are needed. And we might also foresee cases where you want to interwork with something completely outside the scope of ICT17 projects. So we need to discuss that. Then we also have testing services, both for KPI testing and use case testing. So we will provide a more detailed scope of what we implement there later, but input from you is also important in that case. So what you see in this slide is a fairly detailed overview of different facility sites. There's a lot of technical details on this slide, and I will not go through everything. So we will make the slides available for all of you, and even more detailed information is available on the web page. So what you can see is that there are some differences between the main facility sites and of course also between the experimentation facility sites. I think one observation is on if you look at the Norway and UK facility sites, is where we will have more near commercial ready 5G equipment and solutions, both in the RAN and in the core. Whereas Spain and Greece also have more experimentation type of ready equipment, but it shall provide the SLAs that we promise. And you also see in Greece where we focus a bit on open source radios. Apart from that, I mean, you can see what type of frequency bands we are making available in the different parts of it. Then you should also go in and look at what type of coverage areas do we have, and how is that suitable for you. So this is provided information on in the web pages. And also you can look at the focus of the experimentation facility sites. So I will not talk too much about this right now, but can open for questions afterwards, and please consult the web pages for more information. And a bit on the timing. So you might have seen this before, where we have put up the roadmap of 5G VINNI. So we have started the project, and we are in at full speed implementing the infrastructure right now. The plan is to have a service offer for ICT 19 projects with a clearly defined SLAs and onboarding roadmap by 1st of July 2019. Then we will also have a release 0 at that point in time, but that is for internal validation and testing, and so that we can make sure that what we offer to ICT 19 projects is really proper and stable and according to SLAs in release 1, which will be made available to ICT 19 projects. And that is on 1st of January 2020. So I also mentioned previously that the 5G VINNI facility will be available until 1st of July 2022, but the terms and conditions for that will be announced a bit later. Then on the 5G VINNI test framework, so now I'm moving a bit into 3 of the important capabilities, which we have got quite some questions on, just to present that in a bit more detail. So first, a bit on the 5G VINNI test framework. So here you can see a bit how the architecture looks like. But basically, what we will do is that we will make available a set of test cases that you can use, or as templates that you can customize. The testing portal will be available for you, and we also have the possibility to integrate with third-party components and systems under test via an open SDK. We might also provide, or we will provide, consulting services for testing and experimentation. So that is in the case that you need us to run the test cases and experimentation for you. So we expect you to run them yourself, but we will support you into using the portal and using the facility, and also creating using the test cases. But for the actual execution, we expect you to do it. If not, we will need to budget in consulting services for that, because we have not budgeted that in the project. Then also some words on interworking and interconnection. So first we have interconnection, which basically is the connectivity, the kind of VPN that we set up between the facility sites. And on top of that, we have interworking, which is more an orchestration problem, where we will be able to have create network slices crossing different facility sites. We are also looking into other parts of interworking where you can request resources just for putting up a VNF in different domains. So basically, interworking implies interconnection, because in order to do interworking, you would most likely want to have a stable interconnection, or you need a stable interconnection. I just mentioned also previously, that it is possible to interwork and interconnect with other non-5G VINNI facilities. That needs to be taken on a case-by-case basis, basically. But we will present soon the technical details of the implementation, both on interconnect and interworking. And we will also give more detailed specification of the SLAs later. Then the third thing I wanted to talk a bit about is the distributed data fabric service. This is a new type of service, which we believe will be very important for 5G, because a lot of use cases is all about gathering data from the users and applications. So that's exactly what this is. It's a service to extract, compute, transform, and move data across the distributed network facility, like in the edge, in the core, in the public cloud. So it's basically a microservice that can be put up at different places. And we see that it's very important for IoT type of use cases. So as I said, it will be offered as a service, the possibility to include that as part of a network slice. So it will be orchestrated as a service. And then the final slide from me is on expectations towards ICT19 projects. And I guess you might have discovered this a bit when I have been presenting a bit on what we expect from you. But let me run through these bullets one by one. So the first one is on testing and experimentation. So our expectation is that you provision resources and effort for integration of use cases for the testing. And for the two next bullets, in the case you need additional gNode B or a MEC site to be integrated, you need to budget for that. And for the gNode B, it's also important to have, if you need specific, or if you don't have transmission available, and if you need extremely heavy transmission, you also need to cover the cost for that. In the fourth bullet, I say that we have the service for offering a customized slice template in the case that you cannot use one of the three slice types defined by 3GPP. And if that requires a lot of implementation work on the slice template side, we need to have that covered as well by you. And in the case you need to have extreme capacities beyond the basic offering, that also needs to be covered. So please contact us in the case you have questions on that. We will give field support for test implementation. But as I said, if you want us to execute the experiments, then you need to fund that, because we have not covered a lot of budget for executing experiments for ICT19 projects. And also, as I said, if you need high capacity interconnection, I mean, many of the interconnection use cases might have low throughput, low latency requirements in case it's only control type traffic. But if it's heavy user plane and if you have heavy SLA requirements on, say, latency and throughput, then that also needs to be budgeted, because we all know that that has a cost. And after the third year of 5G VINNI, I mean, basically when the 5G VINNI projects end, which will be 1st of July 2021, if you want to use 5G VINNI longer than that, you also need to budget that in. And in the case of interconnection with non-5G VINNI facility sites, that is also subject to agreement between the stakeholders, because today we don't know who that will be. That also depends on what you require in ICT19 projects. So that's something that we need to work out, basically. But some assumption on the cost of that should be considered, indeed. So that basically ends my presentation. So what I put up here is the contact details. So what you see to the left is a link to the web page, or Twitter, which is good to follow, and also an email if you have questions to 5G VINNI. So please just send an email to that email address. On the right side, you also see that we have emails for each of the facility sites. In the case you want to contact and have specific interest in one or more of the facility sites, please reach out to them. You can also reach out to the email address to the left, but we have made this available in case you want to use that. Then it will be a mail will be sent directly to the different facility site owners or the specific facility site owner. So with that, that ends my part of this webinar, and then I will hand it over to Duncan for presenting the onboarding model that we have created in 5G VINNI, the onboarding model for ICT19 projects.